Good morning, everyone. With us today, we have Mary, who has an amazing story that is, to me, it's very unusual. I talk to people all the time who are working through issues to save their house or sell their house on terms that are better for them. And Mary is very unusual in this, and she has agreed to share a part of her story with us today. So, Mary, thank you for joining us today.
Yes, thank you for having me.
So, could you just tell us a little bit about kind of what your background was and how you started this journey?
Sure. Well, I was a new mother, and so I had a lot of setbacks. I was laid off from my job. I was a new mother navigating a newborn, pretty much, and unfortunately, I was unable to keep up with my housing expenses, and
Yeah.
so yeah, so listed it, of course, on the market to sell. Was unable to sell it. um, Tried for a short sale. The short sale was denied, and then I learned about a deed in lieu. And initially, I tried to go through that process. It was initially declined, and then I had to challenge that decision, and I was able to get it overturned. And so finally, the deed in lieu was accepted, and then I was able to pretty much transfer the home back to the loan originator or the investor, and just pretty much close that chapter of my life.
Yeah, and you're relieved to do that. I remember how excited you
Yes.
were when you did that. Yes. So, just to be clear, that you attempted the short sale before we met. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Very good. Okay. And one some of the things that I thought were unusual about what you did. So, uh, I have actually worked in Dallas County before to do a temporary restraining order. You at one point were very close to having the bank come in, swoop in, and foreclose on your house,
Yes.
and you were able to do a temporary restraining order on your own.
Yes.
Now, normally, I've seen that done, and it can be quite expensive because you have to work with an attorney to do that. You did not have to do that. You managed it on your own. And can you tell us a little bit about how you did
Sure.
that?
Sure. So once my home started was up for foreclosure, I would get a lot of calls from people wanting to, hey, let me help you, let me help with your foreclosure. Oh, let me help you maybe go through the bankruptcy option. And I would just listen to all of them and let them lay their options out on the table for me. And so, every time I spoke to something, they gave me a nugget. Right. Or something was different or
Yeah,
something was the same with what they were offering. And I remember talking to one gentleman who was a lawyer, and he was saying that either you can file SRO or I can file it for you, right? The difference is, I file it, you don't have to worry about anything. If you file it, you just have to make sure your documents are correct, and typically people don't do it correct. So um, with
right.
that, with that, I started getting on ChatGPT, right? And I asked ChatGPT what this was because I've never heard of it, the process, the steps, and ChatGPT kind of prompted me and told me how I should do everything and pretty much gave me the steps on how to file it. Um, and I was shocked, like, oh, this is something that I can do myself. And so pretty much I received an education on law 101 thanks to ChatGPT. And I learned to file my documents with the county thanks to ChatGPT. And so it was a learning process, which I love now because I learn now I can file any lawsuit myself without an attorney, ChatGPT. And so I think that was a turning point, the pivotal moment. And I pretty much think that my loan servicer was surprised that I filed a lawsuit against the SRO. And I
Yeah.
did it by myself without representation.
Yeah. And I think, because I remember using ChatGPT actually for some things fairly early on.
Mhm.
And I think what a lot of people don't realize is artificial intelligence today is not what it was 3 months ago. And
Yes,
3 months from now, it will be different than it is today.
correct.
So if this had happened to you a year before the AI resources available to someone in your position probably would have been much less. They would not have
Right,
been nearly as helpful.
right.
Um,
I would have had a different story today.
yeah, you
Yes,
would have you possibly would have had a different story.
yes.
Um, and a lot of people who are maybe watching this don't know what a deed in lieu of foreclosure is. I mean, I talk a lot about short sales, right? That's where you basically negotiate with the lender so
Mhm.
that they will settle for an amount less than they say they're owed so you can get your house sold. A deed in lieu of foreclosure, can you tell us a little bit about what that is?
Sure. So that's a voluntary turnover of your house. It's similar to a regular foreclosure, but it's not. It's cost friendly for your lender, and it kind of works in your favor a little bit more. So typically, if you would just have a foreclosure on your file, you wouldn't be able to, let's say, purchase a house within 4 to 5 years, and it would really hit your credit report a lot heavier versus a deed in lieu.
Yeah,
Versus, I could buy a house potentially after 1 year, and it didn't hit my credit score as hard because with the investor, you negotiate what it would say on your credit report, right? So it's a lot better. And some people don't know the options. Like I did not know that option. It pretty much, when I was going through my options, after the short sale, it was presented to me. Had I known about a deed in lieu prior to even the short sale, I would want that route the first time.
you would have
But I,
preferred that. Wow,
yeah, I
okay.
would prefer that. I had no idea, did not know that it existed, but I could do it. And my lender wasn't forthcoming and telling me that I had that option.
Yeah, isn't that interesting? Yeah.
Yes.
So sometimes I think lenders, because if they take back the house, it's kind of like, cash for keys,
Yeah.
or something like that. Like, here are the keys of the house. Here's my house. Just take it. Goodbye.
Yeah.
Right. And what's remarkable about your story, Mary, is that you actually succeeded. For some reason, it's harder than it sounds to do a deed in lieu for many people.
Yeah. So I think what was on my side and really what worked in my favor is because I knew, and this was, to your help, Michael, you told me to make sure that I file a complaint with the governing body,
Yes.
uh, which I can't recall right now. What's the name of it? Can you kind
Consumer
of,
Finance Protection Bureau.
yeah, there you go. So the CFPB, I believe, yes. So I think because I filed a complaint with them multiple times, that pretty much put pressure on my lender to now they have to react, right? They have to respond, they have to reply because now you have a governing body coming in and asking questions and kind of looking into what they're doing, what their practices are. And I believe that because I actually filed that complaint with them because of their negligence and what they were doing, and that's a public entity. So anything
Yes.
that I file with them, it can be public for all of the US to see. Maybe someone else who's having trouble navigating the waters or is going through the same issues, that's reported to them. And that doesn't look, it doesn't hold up and have a positive favor for your lender if they had an open case with the CFPB. So I
Right.
think honestly, that was the pivotal moment. I knew what they were doing wasn't correct. Now that the governing body knows what they're doing wasn't correct, now they're put in a position to, having to now pretty much respond and make sure that they are following the laws and regulations.
And so if I can ask, what was the nature of your complaint against your lender? I mean, in general, what kinds of things did you feel that they were doing that was complaint worthy?
So initially, so pretty much after my short sale was declined, the representative I was working with, I told her that I would want to place my application in for a deed in lieu. So I sent all the paperwork that was required, uh, did everything they asked of me. And then all of a sudden, I received a letter that my home was up for foreclosure. And I was literally in the process of doing the deed in lieu. And they had accepted it, they hadn't denied me. And then I would ask for updates on my deed in lieu. And then they would, one of the rep told me that, well, we don't have enough time to complete it, so it's going to be declined. And that was the answer. Because
Oh,
they didn't have enough time to complete it, but I put in my application for a deed in lieu in November, around November 20th, and then they told me, I think it was January 1st, that they didn't have time to complete it. So they literally had 5 weeks. They took 5 weeks to tell me that they didn't have enough time to
What
complete
was
it.
the foreclosure date?
Their foreclosure date was February 6th.
So yeah, that's completely ludicrous. So by
Yeah,
law, according to RESPA, if you do it 37 days or more before the
yeah.
auction, they are required to review it.
Yeah, exactly. And they sent me that. I received that notice on December 5th for a full foreclosure date of February. So yeah, it didn't make sense to me. So when that happened, this is when I received all those calls from people saying, okay, we can help you out with foreclosure, we can help you file bankruptcy, et cetera, et cetera. And I would explain my situation to them. And and so when one of the persons told me about, I can file this a TRO myself, or they can do it for me, that's when I got on ChatGPT. So then
Yeah.
I put in all the details, all the artifacts of
Yeah,
what
you
I
got to
had
tell
told
it all
them.
the information, give it all the
Exactly.
information. Yeah.
And once I did that, ChatGPT, they cross-referenced it with the law and said, hey, your investor's breaking the law. They broke this law, and that law. So you have every right to file a TRO, and it would actually rule in your favor. So um, I can't recall on top of my head, but they violated. There was negligence. Um, Also, they weren't doing their due diligence. There was a delay of documentation and reply, and they have to do their due diligence, making sure that they communicate with me correctly. Also, like you said, 37-day rule. Um, that was up for question. That was very questionable. Also, if I'm in the process of filing a deed in lieu, there's no way you can actively foreclose on my account. You can't do that at the same time. It's called I forgot.
Dual tracking.
Dual tracking. So they
Yes.
violated dual tracking. You can't do that at the same time. And I didn't know of any of these things. It wasn't until ChatGPT told me exactly what they were violating. And of course, I don't know the law, but of course, ChatGPT, they reference it with the law. And that
Yeah.
is why I was able to file it. And
You can give chapter and verse. You
exactly.
can
And
actually
I'm
say where it is in the law, what
exactly.
statute. Yes.
Exactly. I gave them the county I was in and all that information, and this is what ChatGPT spit out to me. So they pretty much when it's time to file my briefings with the county, they laid it out exactly how I should file it because it's going to work in my favor because they actually broke the law. And of course, my investor doesn't know that I know this, right? And it wasn't until I filed it with the CFPB that now they took it seriously because now when I'm filing the lawsuit, it holds merit and weight, and there's actual evidence
Yes,
of
there
what
is
they're doing.
evidence. Yes.
There's
And
evidence.
you can substantiate it. I actually this week I helped someone uh, address a dual tracking case.
Yes.
And
Yes.
it was different, different situation, different lender. But I mean, it's actually, it happens quite a bit,
Yes.
where out of one side of their mouth, they're saying one thing, but out the other side of the mouth, they're telling their attorneys, get ready. So a
Exactly.
foreclosure is basically, there's this team of attorneys that is ganging up on you, and they're going to charge you
Exactly.
for that privilege of allowing them to do that. So it's,
Exactly.
yeah.
So once I filed it and they received it, I immediately, so typically I was initially working with the representative. As soon as I filed it with the county, they immediately assigned an attorney to my case. And now I'm communicating with the attorney, right? And
Yeah.
even then, um, I so the court date was coming up, right? I got it expedited, the county that we would go to court. I believe it was the last week in January before February, before that foreclosure date came. All of a sudden, the attorney came back and said, "We are going to, pause your foreclosure or cancel it. Can you withdraw the lawsuit?" That's literally what they said, right? If what I was following was false, they would have went through with it. But they told me, okay, you can cancel it now. We're going to pause your foreclosure. We're going to withdraw it, and then we will move forward with your deed in lieu. That's literally what they told me. And
Okay.
it wasn't. And interesting enough, I pleaded with them all the way from January when they first told me, from January all the way to January 25th to help me, work with me. I don't think this is fair. I didn't get a great response at all, just delayed responses. It wasn't until I filed the lawsuit, the TRO, that
Yeah.
they took me seriously.
Well, I'll tell you, you know, there is a relationship between deed in lieu and short sales. I'm a short sale specialist, but it's not uncommon that we'll help people get started on the deed in lieu process,
Yeah,
especially if, the lender is being especially difficult. We'll try that. And there's sometimes when you just can't do a deed in lieu. If, for example, there's some junior liens on the house, some other loans,
right.
because if they actually go through with the foreclosure, they can bulldoze all those other guys out of the way and they get all their money
Yeah,
back. So they're kind of incentivized to do that.
yeah,
But I'll tell you, even though sometimes we help people and get them started on that process, um, there's actually a fairly high failure rate among
right.
people when they do that. And so I'm just thrilled that you were able to get through the entire process
Yes.
and get that.
Um, No, for sure. And I think it was, making sure you're documenting, emailing everything so you can track everything, right? Everything they're saying. If they're contradicting themselves with their dates, you have it
Yes.
documented, right? So I learned, verbal, sometimes calling in verbally doesn't work because what I even noticed when I would call
Yes.
them, on their end, they use AI to document, and sometimes AI is inaccurate when they're taking calls, when you're calling that hotline number for to reach your loan servicer about X, Y, and Z. Um, I've learned you always send an email. You can call them in a voicemail, but you send an email stating I called, etc. At at who at X, Y, and Z at this time on this date and stated this question. Can you please follow up with me and make sure everything's documented? Because I did all that, that all worked in my favor. I submitted all that. I was able to even, I had some of those as exhibits, right? My lawsuit that they could see, hey, I talked to them. This is what they told me. They said one thing, but they told me another, right? So right there, they have to make sure they're communicating accordingly with you, and they were not. And I had all the documentation in my hand to prove it, and I submitted all that to the CFPB too. So the CFPB could see what they were doing not verbally, based all on my documentation.
Wow.
So yes,
Mary, you are a go-getter.
yes, thank you. I've been told several times. Yeah,
So,
so the
so
biggest thing is you don't give up. Like you don't give up if you feel like
they
they are
expect you to just go away.
exactly.
They expect you to just roll over and go away.
Exactly. And if you feel like they're playing with your emotions, playing with your time, not communicating with you, that's a delay. They're not even allowed to delay communications. Typically, they're supposed to have a response within 48 hours. So if you're requesting something from them and it's taking them more than 3, 4, 5, 6 days, they've already violated the law right there. And people don't realize that. Start there. If they're taking too long to respond to some of your requests, provide you with documentation already, they're already walking the line, the slippery slope of violating the law.
So, since the end of this, how has your life changed? Do you feel,
So, you know what? I feel relieved because now I can go ahead and start over. Now that it's already dinged my credit report, I can focus on rebuilding my credit report, right?
yeah,
Yeah. So it's helping me now recover, going ahead and get that process started, waiting that year mark to now try, later on I can embark on it, if I want to buy another home in the future, because now I'm caught up. I'm in a good place, right?
yeah,
I'm not in the pitfalls. I have another job. I can start my life.
yeah.
It's not going to hold me back, or I'm not going to have a scarlet letter that's going to just hold me back in life without moving forward. So it's very good to get the process done, get it over with so you can start over.
Well, I'm so happy it turned out that way for you. I mean, I remember you reached out to me and I we
Yeah.
talked periodically, but you did a lot of this on your own. So I was just thrilled that it turned out that way. And I'm also grateful that you let me know when it was coming to an end. That was so nice of
Yeah.
you to do that.
No, thank you. And even the tips that you provided with me, Michael, you telling me that it's a waiting game, make sure you follow with this CFPB. I was just following up on, all the advice I was given, the advice that you gave me, I followed up on it. You stated make sure you follow the CFPB. I sure did. And even the first time that I did, I had to file two separate complaints with them, Michael. That's the thing. The first time I filed, they moved a little bit, right? Got it going. And then they started kind of, holding up paperwork on the back end. I filed again. It got them moving again. So what I learned is you may have to file more than once about the same issue with the CFPB so that the CFPB can be aware that they are moving like snail mail on their end and they
Yeah.
can kind of ask and question what's going on as well.
Well, you have an amazing story, Mary, and I hope that other people who are in a similar situation will find some courage and some inspiration from what you've shared with us today. There are actually a lot of people who are going through this right now. So I mean, I look at the statistics every day, and I see people who are, this is happening to them, and I mean, in Greater Dallas Fort Worth, the number of people who this happens to every month is thousands,
Yeah,
thousands of people.
it's it's interesting you say that because I have a friend who was a realtor and he told me he asked me about my situation and what happened and what did I do because he had a client that was going through the same thing, right? Their short sale is actively being denied, and why don't they do a deed in lieu? I said I don't know why they don't do a deed in lieu. Why did they do it early on? And he said there are a lot of houses going through foreclosure. Why don't they do deed in lieu? I don't know. Maybe they don't know they have that option.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you found the one that was best for you and your family.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
All right. Well, thank you so much, and let's stay in touch.
Okay. Enjoy the rest of your day.